Welcome to ExploreNL. I'm your host, Autumn Gale.
And I'm Dustin Parsons. Each month we're bringing you to an exciting new destination here in Western Newfoundland and introducing you to the tourism operators and people totally changing the game in Western Newfoundland.
On this episode, we met up with a company called Under the Stump. It was the first time that I had ever heard of them. They're a newer business operating out of Gros Morne. It's the full family. We got picked up in an ATV by the mother, the father, the son, and the daughter.
Yeah.
And we took off exploring to the back end of Gros Morne Mountain on the quad trails, which I had never seen before.
Yeah, this was a really cool sort of locals perspective into the area on trails, like she said, we didn't even know about, and we've been traveling to this area for a long time. And basically we got to check out the backside of Gros Morne Park, and we were in what's known as an enclave, which is a community area within the park's boundary. So we were able to fly our drone and ride these ATVs, because you're not really allowed to ride ATVs within the park proper.
Something that I really loved about this tour, and well, I loved everything about it, but something that, you know, for the public as a whole, what's really interesting is that this tour is fully accessible. So basically anyone can go on this tour and go in these ATVs. They're fully enclosed. They're very careful.
Yep.
They
have air conditioning.
They had air conditioning. There's no dust really. We had a full catered lunch from Java Jack's.
Amazing. And
then they also took us to their family's cabin where we had a big kitchen party.
Yeah, and we got a lesson in the ugly stick. But you know, we had this beautiful moment where you'll see Autumn and I.
We both cried.
Yeah, we were pretty choked. I mean, to see this family working together and singing together and being together.
It's just something else.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really hard to describe, so I guess they're just going to have to watch the footage.
You're just going to have to watch. Enjoy the episode.
Trina and Perry Reid opened Under the Stump in July 2017. They realized then that the view and the terrain in their own backyard is absolutely pristine and largely untraveled. They decided to give visitors a unique experience to show them what only locals usually get to enjoy. Trina and Perry incorporate their own Indigenous culture, Newfoundland heritage, and storytelling throughout the experiential tours. The stories they tell are their own, about their elders, hunting, fishing, survival, and each trip is different depending on their guests and their questions and interests.
Today, Autumn and I head to Rocky Harbour, the center of Gros Morne National Park, where we got to have the locals look at this area.
We met up with Under the Stump, which was a company that I actually heard for the first time this year and for this adventure. They are a family-run business. It's the wife and husband and their 2 children who operate this business. And they take their guests on accessible and very safe ATV tours into the back of Gros Morne Mountain. And it's important to note that ATVing and skidooing, these activities are not allowed in the actual park. So there are very specific areas where you're allowed to take your all-terrain vehicles.
Yeah, and these areas are known as enclaves, which is basically the actual communities within the park and then some area surrounding them. So this tour utilizes an enclave to take you on a local road that I had been driving past for all my life and didn't even notice, which is right off the highway.
And these side-by-sides that they have are no joke. They have doors and windows, they have air conditioning, you're not getting full of dust, you're not uncomfortable. I felt like I was in a car.
Yeah, that was one of the more surprising things to me. I expected it to be a little rougher kind of experience, but it was super comfortable. We stayed cool, it was nice and clean inside, and we were able to just sort of settle back and soak in what was around us.
Under the Stump is proud to offer fully accessible vehicles for those with limited mobility. As long as you can get in the bike, you can go. It's comfortable, relaxing, and at a slow pace, so you can enjoy all the sights and sounds that they have to offer. Planned stops along the way let you immerse yourself into the wild country and listen to the great outdoors around you.
So we started our adventure by heading to the backside of Gros Morne Mountain. It was the first time that I had ever seen Gros Morne Mountain from that perspective, and I didn't even know that you could.
Yeah, me either. And come to think about it, it is sort of an area that someone might see if you do hike Gros Morne. If you go around the back top side of the mountain, you will be looking down on this area of Gros Morne,
where we were looking up.
where we were now standing looking up at what we could only describe as the arse end of Gros Morne Mountain.
I think the beautiful thing about Under the Stump is how close the Reid family are.
Yeah, that's truly is the most magical part. Getting to spend the day with this family who are just absolutely committed to making sure that you have the best day possible.
So we stopped at the back end of Gros Morne Mountain where we found a picnic table that got quickly set up with a tablecloth and a full lunch that was provided from Java Jack's in Rocky Harbour, which is one of the best restaurants in Gros Morne.
Yeah, Autumn messaged us a couple days before the adventure and said, "Hey, what does everyone want for lunch?" And I thought, oh, cool, there's going to be some snacks. I'll have what you're having. And so Autumn put in the order, and wow, were we ever surprised to see what they busted out on top of this hill for us on that day.
Under the Stump is family owned. They operate from May to October of every year with future plans of expanding into the off-season. They partner with a ton of local businesses to offer their experiences, and they'll customize to fit your needs. On our tour in particular, we enjoyed a delicious catered lunch from Java Jack's, which is a locally owned restaurant and cafe in Rocky Harbour. It was so good. It was so good that we almost didn't get any footage of the meal because all of us, including Gian, were enjoying our meal so much we didn't want to stop.
This is the kind of experience where you want to go outside and you want an outdoor adventure, but you also want to be spoiled a little.
Yeah, this would be a great trip to take with any family members, young or old. Also for anyone who might have accessibility issues, this is a great option. They had told us that they've brought many people in there who were in wheelchairs or had other mobility issues, and they just had a great time. It can be a little challenging to get around and get some of these views of the park. You've usually got to work for it because, like Autumn mentioned, you can't access these areas on ATV or snowmobile for the most part.
So my grandmother is 86 years old. She's my best friend. And when we did this tour with Under the Stump, all I could think of is I could not wait to take her on this trip.
If you're looking for something wicked to do with your nan, you need to bring her up and under the stump.
After our lunch, we took a tour back to their family's cabin, which is breathtaking.
Yeah, a really cool low-key cabin nestled right off the trail with views of other surrounding ponds and bodies of water. When we walked in the door, already pretty full from the amazing lunch we had, we were faced with yet again more freshly baked buns and biscuits and breads with a whole variety of local jams and different things for us to try.
We tried our best, but in the end, I think we all just opted for a cup of tea.
Yes, and that was a great cup of tea. We brought it outside and got to sit on their nice little patio, which is when they surprised us by bringing out the ugly sticks. Autumn and I had a full-on lesson in the ugly stick, which is a traditional Newfoundland instrument many of you viewers will recognize. It's essentially a large stick with some nails and bottle caps or washers screwed to it, and usually something ugly on the top, like a can with a hat or an old mop head, or some googly eyes, something like that. But the idea is you stomp it and you smack it.
I've seen ugly sticks my entire life, since I was a child. I'm sure you have too. This is the first time anyone ever actually taught me how to play it.
Yeah, it was great to get an actual lesson on the ugly stick. Also, you can tell that these people play the crap out of these ugly sticks. Some of them look like they've been to war. They were fixed up with duct tape and stuff. You've got to be playing the ugly stick pretty hard to snap it off, but these people are obviously serious players. So Autumn and I had a great time accompanying them on our ugly sticks.
I might have got into it a little bit too much.
She definitely got into it too much. After we finished our ugly stick lesson, we were serenaded by the family as together, as one family unit, they sang these beautiful songs and absolutely choked up Autumn and I. We sat there in our sunglasses, just in amazement.
Pretending we weren't crying.
Yeah, we were trying to play it cool, but it's really hard to not be overcome by the fact that this family is here together, working together, living together, singing together, and just all in, sharing a goal And that goal is to make you love the area you're in as much as they do.
I think my favorite moment was when their daughter was playing the guitar and Trina and Perry were dancing together out in the yard and just swaying back and forth, and just the look in their eyes, like looking at their daughter. So proud, so much love. Oh, I just really love this family.
So proud of themselves and each other. Their son, I just learned, has just started a successful soap business, which is going to be a nice addition, an opportunity for them and their family's business. The Reids are amazing storytellers, which is kind of a big part of this whole tour experience. As you're traveling in the side-by-side to your destination, you're hearing stories about them, their life, and their experiences growing up in this area. This is a family who has moved away, done the typical go find work where you can get it situation, traveling to Western Canada and elsewhere, and now made the decision to move back home as a family and try their hand in the tourism business.
If you'd like to check out all the products that their son is now making and selling locally in the area, you can check out Traditions by Miranda in Rocky Harbour.
Traditions by Miranda is also where a lot of this serving platters and cookery things you will see on the picnic table came from.
Trina and Perry have a little motto that they'll tell you when you start a tour with them, and that's that you might start out as strangers, but within 5 minutes, you're going to be friends, and by the end of the tour, you're family. Dustin, Gian, and I can certainly vouch for that motto. We adventured, we sang, we danced, we ate, we laughed, and we left having one of the most memorable adventures of our entire summer. We cannot recommend Under the Stump enough.
How did we come up with the name Under the Stump?
Well, Perry and I were trying to figure out what we were going to call this business because we came in and thought, what an amazing adventure for people to come and see. And I actually took her to St. John's for cheer. And on the way back, I'm thinking, what can I call it? What can I call it? Kids are all asleep. You know, I'm driving. I'm in the bathroom, McDonald's, wash my hands,
As
right?
every good story
As every
starts.
good start. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm thinking, Trina, what could you call it? Well, what would Dad call it? And our story is about our history and our family. So all of a sudden, I was like smack in the forehead. I remember Dad saying, Trina, when you was young, you was special. I found you under the stump. So we decided we call it Under the Stump. It's earthy. It's all about nature.
It's
and
very
about,
earthy.
Very earthy.
Yeah.
Nature, all about our heritage and history out in the woods and the wilderness and all that stuff. And as soon as I heard it, I thought, people are going to remember it, Under the Stump. And that's why we called it Under Stump. And hence our logo is a stump, and the word is Under the Stump.
Wow,
Nice.
that's amazing. And did you find any of your beautiful children under a stump?
Won them at the bingo game, didn't you?
I look too much like her to be.
Yeah, I didn't find her under the stump.
No.
No, but she's been to the various stumps I've been to, and in the backcountry, and we can't say we drove up the stump or anything,
Yeah.
but we rode around a few stumps, and
What's it like doing this with your family and as a family?
is amazing actually. Where else can you get to work with your children and your husband? And we're best friends and been since we started. And this is something that we do. We enjoy being out in nature. We enjoy having our kids be a part of it, and we want to share this with other people. So what better job could you have?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think about working with the family?
Well, I don't think I have much else to say. Like, it's
I thought you were going to say, I don't think I had much choice.
I thought this was
well, most people when they come on vacation, they don't find a whole lot of excursions or a whole lot of things to do with the family. So this is definitely something good that they can include to their vacation that they can bring. We've had people that are over 90 years old. We've had people that have broken bones, broken ribs. We've had people that are paralyzed. You can get anybody in here, any age, and it's family oriented, definitely, more than anything else.
I love it.
Yeah.
One family taking care of another family. You guys have probably made a lot of friends with people from all over the place doing this.
Oh my goodness, yes, they all wants to come stay with us at the cabin. They figures they stay for
Oh,
the night.
look, we're coming back.
Yeah, whenever you want, you let us know, and we'll have a fire and a barbecue and have an outdoor marshmallow roast. And
Perfect.
you're not.
When we leave them in the parking lot, it's like, oh, next time you're in Kingston, Ontario, just drop in, come
Yeah,
see us.
yeah. We've had lots of invites, come up to different places in the country, right? And we tell them, you come back, let us know. We're here, you know, where we're going to be, right? And when you leave us, you come as strangers, but when you leave your family.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a real Newfoundland experience, this one is.
Yeah. So because we're family, me and Autumn can just come back here whenever.
Yeah, just let us know
And-
so that we're not here, crashing
Yeah.
with 20 other people.
That's right.
Right? But yeah.
And we don't even need to bring our own ugly sticks because
No,
you've got
they're
lots.
here.
They
The
stay
music
here?
is here.
Yeah.
They stay
Okay,
here.
okay.
The guitars, everything
I'm
stays
pretty
here.
much part of the furniture, ugly thing.
You
Yeah.
just might need a little bit of tape to put it back together afterwards.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
use twine, right? Glue, twine, and wide tape to put the last
Yeah.
one back,
I've
right?
seen a lot of ugly sticks, but I've never seen so many that have undergone surgery as yours. They've
So
all
many
had a hard life.
modifications.
And I think she sounds better now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what that is? That means we was having a darn good time.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Well, we had a darn good time. Thank you so much
And
for
we
letting
really
us come out here
appreciate
with you.
We're,
Thank
we're
you very
so
much.
happy that you came to enjoy this experience. And now, when you come back, you'll say, "Hey, Trina, remember us?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." Like, how's it going?
Absolutely. I don't think we're ever going to forget this or you guys. It's totally one of a kind day that we've had.
Well, I'm
Love it.
glad you enjoyed it, and come back anytime.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank
Tomorrow.
you.
One thing with
Tomorrow.
us is no such thing as goodbyes. We'll
No.
see you later.
See you later. I pondered on those days gone by as I sat beside the mill, and I gazed upon the setting sun as it sank beneath the hill, and I gazed on it once more, my voice was the very sight I seen. 'Twas just the same now as it was when we were sweet 16. Oh, how I long for those bright days to come again once more. But come again, they never will, for now
I've never seen this perspective before.
And you won't, because
gotta-
when you come into the park, you see this lovely round Gros Morne Mountain. You would never know that the back end is shaved as it is.
I've
right?
never even seen it from here.
You
cool.
see
Oh,
a
this
Gros
is-
Morne
It's
behind.
wild.
I'll get a
Say
better
we're
view of the
gonna go-
layers.
We're
of
going to
the
go all the
mountain,
way,
too.
Gros
all the way
Morne
in around,
behind.
so you're
Yeah.
actually looking out at it. But all the back of Gros Morne
These are-
Mountain is a sheer cliff.
These are, well, that's what I'm getting at, right?
Some air center. Oh, mountain.
Oh my.
Oh, she got a nice area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a totally different look at the makeup of the mountain. On this backside, you can see where it's eroded and all the layers of the.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also in the spring when we come, you see the snow in the crevices still
Yeah, yeah.
later in the season. So we're here in 22 degrees and there's snow right there. And people can imagine how snow could stay there.
Normal for us is around the 15th of July. Usually the last little patches of snow. But this winter, we had hardly
Yeah.
any snow this year. But normally you come in here around the 15th of July, you still see patches of snow on
Wow.
it. But this
Epic.
is nothing.
This is
Oh,
nothing.
okay, come
This
on,
is
come
our
on, Nick.
backyard.
Get back in the
This is our
bike.
backyard, right?
This is nothing.
So at this point, I used to tell people about how my dad and they always went into the back country, and before parks came, and we're talking about 60 years ago now plus, they would travel in by dog team, and they go into behind Gros Morne, and they'd stay in there for a couple weeks, a month, until they got their meat, whether it be moose and their fish and their rabbits and all that kinds of stuff. And on the way out, as they were coming out through, I mean, we're talking mid-January, so it's the coldest month back in the days when we're not seeing global warming as it is today,
She's fully rose.
right?
Supposed to be.
And it's very creepy. The ice is black when you look down through it, and it's deep water. And as they were coming out through, the ice opened up. My dad went through, my grandfather went through, the dogs went in to meet, they lost everything. Friends got Dad and Pop out, and when they got to shore, they had to actually get in chest deep water to get to the shoreline in January.
It gave me goosebumps. I'm cold.
I know. And so when they got to shore, they set a fire. And they spent the whole night trying to keep themselves from freezing to death, basically.
They're lucky.
They were very lucky, very lucky. My dad was only 21 at the time, before any of us was born, right? And then they had to leave and walk out. It took about 2 days to get out. It's not like it is now where we have a trail that we can come in on a bike and get you if there's an emergency, or we have search and rescue, or even fire department. There was none of that really back in those days. And they had to make their way out, so they were extremely lucky. So Perry and I got together years later, and I started telling them about the story about Dad and Pop going through the ice in 10 Mile, and they're the only ones I ever heard of that ever went through, right? And he said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know," he said, "that Dad and I found the harnesses for a dog team in the back of Gros Morne, a 10 Mile pond, and they ended up
Really?
disposing of it because they thought, how did that end up here? Garbage in here, right?" And they disposed of it. And
Oh
I
my
thought,
goodness.
how ironic, right, that we got together and he ended up finding it. It was my family that it came from.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dogberries are more orangey
And,
too.
and dogberries are a lot bigger than those. Like
Okay.
they're little tiny balls, like a BB gun.
Can you eat them?
Yeah.
No, even the birds won't eat. Bears won't touch them.
Oh.
They're useless.
Wow,
That's
well,
one thing that we found growing up here. People come from all over, license plates from everywhere. Why the hell would anybody want to come here? There's no Walmart. There's no nothing here.
That's why.
And, then, and we couldn't wait to get the hell out of here. But when you get older, you learn to appreciate it. Well, you just assume everywhere's like this.
Yeah.
Until you start to see the rest of the world now.
Yeah.
I want to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you realize what you really have.
And
Exactly.
we're not much people for concrete and asphalt.
No.
And for us, we did move away for a long time. We were gone 16 years, and after we left, we realized why. Look, we had to leave because there's no jobs, but why couldn't we stay home? And if you were getting ready to go home on vacation, you could smell the salt air.
Oh,
Funny,
yeah.
right? You could smell
Land in
that.
Deer. That used to happen to me too. I'd land in Deer Lake, and even though Deer Lake's not even near the ocean, as soon as I smelled the air, I go, "Oh, Newfoundland."
Well, I'd be walking down the streets of Brampton, going to work or whatever, and I'd be like, going home. I can smell that salt air. I'm coming. I'm Newfie bound, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
fresh food in the middle of nowhere.
Out in the middle of nowhere. You can't get more on a barren than here.
So what's the name for this tour when you bring people out here? What do they see on your website?
There's a few different tours. So we have Take a Gawk at That. And that tour is basically coming for a look and just visiting and having a look at everything, and we're doing that experience. When we do the music and food, not the food, we do the music at the cabin stuff, we call it Face and Eyes Tour.
Nice.
And the reason we call it Face and Eyes Tour is because you get face and eyes buns, which are, you will see, they're the tea biscuits and the raisin buns. And when we were growing up, we always called them face and eyes buns. So we called it a face and eyes tour.
Cool.
People say, why did you call it that? Well, you're going to get face and eyes buns, right?
No pressure. You get to the cabin,
You got to eat again.
All right.